Good morning or afternoon. Today we're looking at number 76, The Entertainer. You may have heard this before, but also you may not have. This is one that, if you're a piano player, it's probably one of the first real songs that you started learning when you got to maybe book 2 of your curriculum. This song is actually from a style of music from the 1900s, the early 1900s, called ragtime. Now, if you've never heard of ragtime, I'm not offended. In fact, ragtime is kind of like the disco of the early 1900s. It rose to popularity really quickly, and it also kind of faded away really quickly also. It did rise to some sort of influence on jazz, but by and large, it kind of disappeared by the 1920s. So ragtime's hallmarks are that it has a lot of syncopation, and you can see syncopation right here in measure number 1. So that's 1 and 2 and. So emphasis on the weak beat. Now looking through this one, the first thing that I notice is that it's got a DS al coda. So to navigate that, you're going to play through ignoring all of those coda type markings until you get right here to the end of measure 8. And then DS al coda means del segno al coda. That means go back to the sign and then go take the coda. So you're going to go from here back to measure number 1, not playing these again because they're actually down here. And then measure 2, measure 3, and then when it says 2 coda, you're going to skip down to measure 9. So the TLDR version of that would be measure 1, measure 2, measure 3, measure 4, measure 5, measure 6, measure 7, measure 8, back to measure 1, measure 2, measure 3, skip to measure 9, measure 10, measure 11, measure 12, measure 13. Oh no, 13. Well, I'm sure it's fine. So, if I'm you, I'm going to spend more time working slowly through the middle of the first line here, and then slowly through the middle of the second line. The bottom line here, right on the coda, is not necessarily difficult because it is very repetitive, but if you're a brass player, you might get a little fatigued here in your face. If you're a clarinet player, actually this should, well, almost kind of fun because it's repetitive and it's kind of easy in your right hand. So have fun with this one. Go slowly through the challenging parts and make sure that you understand how the DS al coda works.